gotta break out of here. Give him the kick!
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Yes, but actually no.
But mostly yes. I mean, just with a Western live action bent. I'm not going to give Nolan any more shit though. I did plenty of that last year, and my New Year's resolution is to love more. Or screw around more. But I digress. Paprika, It's the Greatest Showtime, is very much Inception-y, but ignore that and focus on just how phenomenal this acid trip into the mind of Japanese villainy truly is. Satoshi Kon died far too young at only 46 years of age, and it's a sad day every day you realize that fact. Do you like dream logic, and do you like action scenes, and do you like a conspiracy thriller, and do you like a romance subplot, and do you like banging one-liners such as "Science is nothing but a piece of trash" before a profound dream? If you've answered fuck yes to everything I've just mentioned, then Paprika is a must-watch. Give the film 15 minutes of your time, and if you're not fixated by what transpires, then you have awful taste. Or it's just not for you. Either or. Here's a very simple synopsis to give some context in case you haven't seen it. In the near future, a doctor, Atsuko Chiba, uses a new technology called the DC Mini to access people's dreams and provide counseling to them with the help of an alter ego known as Paprika. The film starts with two seemingly unrelated plot points, but like all good detective stories, they inevitably converge. The counsel provided by Paprika to Detective Toshimi Konakawa, who is plagued by a recurring dream, and the disappearance of several DC Mini units. These units are able to access the dreams of anyone who has used a psychotherapy unit, which means hundreds of people, especially those who work for the corporation that created the DC Mini, are now at risk of being manipulated by an unseen foe. What happens from there is one hell of a ride, as the DC Mini is used to affect people with shared dreams whilst they're awake. And now you just gotta go watch the film to experience the rest of it. Kon had a great interest in dreams and reality, fact and fiction, and how these elements are unified with simple, arbitrary divisions only appearing to keep them separate. And this is explored beautifully in Paprika. It's a real highlight of the picture that outside of a few key moments, we aren't forced into a narrow box where Kon cuts to characters sleeping, then a dream, and then they awake like so many dream sequences we have here in the West. Instead, we flow in and out of these unified yet distinct realities as part of Kon's exploration of the theme of reality itself. What is truly real is what we are experiencing moment to moment, be it dream or YouTube video. Furthermore, while Paprika is a must-watch for anyone, it is especially true for cinephiles, as Kon quite rightly compares dreams to films and how films can inform our dream life. For instance, and this is a little personal aside, I dream in third person. I didn't always do that though, as I can recall my dreams from when I was a child as being very distinctly first person experiences. That's the influence of cinema on me, as I can recall the shift in my teenage years where they started to become more like films. And it's the same here in Paprika. The opening tour de force across numerous film genres is a genuine delight, as Detective Konakawa can't help but experience his neuroses via the filmic medium, and the experience always puts a smile on my face every time I watch it. Another element which is under-discussed is just how much Thomas Pynchon's novel Bleeding Edge owes to either Paprika the film or the novel it was made from. The entire sequence with the radio club, an online meeting ground, which becomes a focal point drawing a dreamer into it, is something Pynchon explores in Bleeding Edge with his own virtual reality hotspot and the blurring of realities within New York City itself. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that if you've seen Paprika, then you've gathered the vast majority of ideas which Pynchon explores in his novel, and it only costs you 90 minutes versus several hours. I help where I can, dear viewer, I really do. Now, I must say I've only read Bleeding Edge and The Crying of Lot 49, so maybe he explored these themes prior to Paprika. But I digress once more. Paprika the film is a tight 90 minutes, and for those interested, there's a screenwriting notion that at each 30-minute mark you need a big moment to keep the audience hooked, and Kon delivers on that with Japanese precision. Badum tish. I couldn't help myself. Please, please forgive me. Furthermore, the story has the incredible benefit of being animated instead of live action, and so we can witness some truly astonishing visuals as characters must do battle within the minds of those afflicted via some outrageous set pieces. Ask yourself this. How many characters need to commit suicide with a grin on their face before you start to feel enormous dread? Paprika makes use of disturbing visuals like this, especially in the third act, and it's something which only works in animation. Another underrated element to Paprika is just how it plays with the idea of a genius's arrogance. The obvious culprit would have been caught sooner in the film if the brilliant men and women in the company could admit that jealousy wasn't a motivation behind the attacks. Instead, these geniuses settle for juvenile motives and miss the big picture. While jealousy is a primary motivation for any of the lesser individuals in the film, there is a far greater motivation in Paprika, which is a religious obsession with dreams, with scientific advancement, and with man's ascension beyond flesh. In either case, a recurring theme is humility and honesty being essential for progress, and Paprika does a wonderful job of challenging scientific minds who believe their creations are above reproach and without any moral complications. I mean, yes, okay, we've seen it before in Jurassic Park, but still. And yes, here's the clip.
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should.
The psychological realism is impeccable, and an understated aspect of the film is it ensures the plot is led by the characters' internal motivations rather than conveniences. Alongside this, Kon can still squeeze into the sharp runtime sexual peculiarities well known in Japan, and religious divisions which he skewers with a sharp eye without ever sacrificing for a moment narrative cohesion. A final tidbit that was a real delight is that Kon loves movies and can't help but take time out of the picture to explain concepts like pan focus and the 180-degree rule of filmmaking. Another example is his use of extreme close-ups illustrating an idea visually before having the camera pull out to mid-shots showing us a character's face reacting to news. It's a great way of incorporating multiple ideas within a single shot and helps ensure the film is more than just a series of talking faces without any imagery to really think about. Paprika is a truly superb mix of comedy, action, psychological realism, and sci-fi conspiracy thriller, all delivered in a very tight 90 minutes. It moves effortlessly between these tones, using the genre-defying nature of dreams to allow itself the freedom to be whatever it wants to be. And so I do highly recommend you all go watch it, especially if you haven't already, but doubly so if you have and can't find anything worthwhile to see while you enjoy a few meager hours away from the drudgery of your day job. Now I'll leave you with this absolute monster of a quote from the film. "The breath seethes in the joy of life. I will not allow arrogant scientific technology to intrude in this holy ground. The dreams are horrified that their safe refuge is destroyed by technology. In a world of inhumane reality, it is the only humane sanctuary left. That is a dream." Thanks so much for watching.
そんな不満を一票に